you can start sharing the screen.
Hare Krishna Mate, share Mate.
Hare Krishna, everyone. Welcome to Bhakti Sanga. This evening, we are very fortunate to have His Grace Sundarananda Prabhu to enlighten us on the topic of Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4, Chapter 15 overview. And Hare Krishna Prabhuji, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you so much, Prabhu, for joining and giving your valuable time and attention this evening and enlightening us on the topic of Srimad Bhagavatam, 4th Canto, 15th chapter. I now hand over the call to you. Hare Krishna.
Sure. Thank you so much, Mate. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, devotees. Please accept my humble obeisances. All good Sri Prabhupada. So we'll start with brief prayers and we'll go. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Cheva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Udirayet. Nashtaprayeshu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Sloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naistiki Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Sharakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurve Namaha Namam Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namini Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Desatarini Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Sri Vasadi Gaura Bhaktavrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Okay, thank you so much, devotees, for joining today's session. We're discussing Canto 4 and Chapter 15. It's a wonderful section. In one sense, it's a very brief section and a sweet, short section, but we have some nice lessons we can learn also from this section. So I'll give brief context by referring to Swayam Bhagavan Keshav Swami Maharaj book Bhagavata, which talks about three sections of the fourth canto. I'll talk about the first section of the fourth canto, which is about Sati Devi and Lord Shiva's pastime. Second section about Dhruva's pastime. And then we go into the Prithu Maharaj's pastime. That's where we are now in the current section. So that just to give a quick overview of what lessons we can learn from these first two sections in the fourth canto before we dive deep into third section, which is where our chapter falls in today. Yeah. And then after that, we'll talk about the thematic understanding about humility and the relevance to our devotee life as practicing devotee. Yeah, that's the overall flow for this section today. I'll share my screen again, so we'll go from there. Okay, let me see. So this very, very broad summary and very, very brief summary of the fourth canto. So far, we are in the 15th chapter today, but so far, in the first section, in the first 7 chapters, the pastime of Lord Shiva, Sati, and Daksha was discussed. And we heard from the negative example of Daksha, the importance of avoiding Vaishnava aparadh, importance of respecting Vaishnavas. That is what we learned from Daksha's pastime as a negative example. Of course, I remember Her Grace Narayani Mataji, who is also a Prabhupada disciple, who taught Bhakti Vaibhav course. I believe she still teaches now also in VIH Vrindavan Institute of Higher Education. Summarizes the whole fourth canto in a simple way. She has this skill of summarizing big cantos in few sentences. She summarizes the whole fourth canto as a description of three kinds of devotees. Daksha, devotee practicing bhakti in mode of ignorance. And then example of Dhruva Maharaj, which is bhakti that started with mode of passion. And then example of Prithu Maharaj, the section we are in now, that bhakti practiced in mode of goodness, like that. Of course, we know bhakti at the higher levels is transcendental to the modes of nature. Yeah. But when I'm describing like this, is like a third canto we hear from Kapila Dev, describing how the practitioner can be in that mode. It's not that bhakti is dropped down to lower level, not that, but the practitioner, for example, I am covered by mode of ignorance, then I am approaching bhakti in mode of ignorance, like that. That's another way Her Grace Narayan Mati summarizes the whole fourth canto. So this is the first section. What is the lesson we can learn from first section of the fourth canto? Basically, uh, we when we practice bhakti, we may be deviated from bhakti with at a philosophical level because of some doubts, and because of at a practical level because of some inattention, our growth might be stopped, like that. And then at a relational level, we might make aparadhas or offenses. That means we don't show the proper respect. The basic characteristic of aparadha or offense is that something spiritual, we view them as material and we treat them as material in a very broad sense. So these aparadhas or offenses at relational level can be against the holy name, nama, against the seva or service, or against the Vaishnavas or devotees, or against the Dhamma or the holy place. So now we dive into this Vaishnava aparadha only. Because this section is relevant about Daksha. We're learning from negative example of Daksha, the impact of Vaishnava aparadha and how to avoid that. So Vaishnava aparadhas can be done at 4 different levels. One is at an internal mind level, where we have some unfavorable or negative thoughts about somebody, like that. But we're not actually expressing it with words or actions yet. And that we know we don't get any reaction for them. But the problem with them is slowly they can lead to some offenses later on. They can lead to big offenses later on. Because what there is in the mind can result in as words and actions later on. That's the internal offenses. Next level is unknowing offenses. That means we did not even know that we committed an offense. So without our knowledge, we did something that somebody took it as offense. So we hear about the famous pastime in the context of reading Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu or Nectar of Devotion, where Rupa Goswami was one time meditating on Lord Krishna's pastimes, and then he was laughing, and then externally at the same time one Brahmana happens to be going there, and he took the offense personally because the Brahmana had some kind of limping walk, it seems, if I remember correctly, basically. So he took it as maybe he's laughing at me, laughing at my walk, like that. So that is a example of unknowing offense that we might do. So even though we did not intend to do an offense, because the other person took it as an offense, so it can be dangerous for our bhakti. So that means we should be very careful, and we should not just think, oh, I didn't mean like that, I didn't intend like that. If he takes it like that, it's his problem. Not like that. We should be careful. In fact, even in the material communication experts, they talk about communication as the person communicating needs to see what is the impact it is creating on the listener. So if the other person understood it wrongly, then responsibility lies in me, the person communicating primarily. So that means I need to make an extra effort to clarify my intention to the person listening, like that. So that's what he's talking about. The third kind of offense is inadvertent offense. This kind of offense is when we know we made an offense, but we didn't plan it out. I'm going to offend this Vaishnava today, like that. While in the matter of interactions with Vaishnavas, somehow we made a mistake and that caused an offense, like that. So when that happens, we need to be humble enough to accept our mistake, to seek the forgiveness from that Vaishnava. That's an important way to deal with that. So then fourth kind of offense is deliberate offense. This is more dangerous and more harmful. As you notice, each of them is progressively harmful, progressively more dangerous, more hurtful. So where I'm fully aware that this is offensive, but still I do it. So, but why am I doing it when I know it's an offense? Because I don't understand the gravity of the impact of doing that offense like that. I don't understand it. That is the deliberate offense. So obviously this we should avoid. So in one sense, there are a few things on the bottom that talk about the mediation before meditating. But in one sense, when we cultivate respect towards Vaishnavas, appreciation towards Vaishnavas, and uh, and being sensitive to other Vaishnavas, uh, sensitive in our dealings with Vaishnavas, meaning understanding their feelings, understanding their needs, and observing how they took it also. That will help us to situate properly without making Vaishnava offenses. Of course, understanding the gravity of the offense also helps. And also um, having the right association helps, like that. So these are few things we can consider. Yeah. Now going to the mediation before meditate. What is this section talking about? That let us say we make offenses and due to our interaction with the different Vaishnavas, then we cannot do our bhajana properly. We cannot do our chanting properly. We cannot do our bhakti peacefully. So these are few strategies that Swayam Bhagavan Keshav Maharaj gives us to uh, make amends with them. That means to get to avoid the situation to become offensive, like that. So that means how we can avoid offense, how we can avoid the disturbance that is caused because of offense. Both. First thing is tolerance. That means we remember from Daksha's pastime how he immediately reacted seeing Lord Shiva not offering obeisances. So instead of reacting immediately, we should patiently consider what is happening. What is the why did he not offer obeisances? What can I do now? If I say something now, what will happen? What is the impact of my doing something, saying something? That carefully considering by pausing and reflecting. There is a tolerance aspect. Second thing is the circumstance. That means we try to understand the background of the situation and the events. Why did he behave like that? Is there some other positive reason why you could have done it like that? Like that, we should look at the other side view also, not just my view only. I can see clearly that he made a mistake. Not like that. Understanding, yes, I see that he behaved like this, but why did he behave like this? Oh, he's going through some stressful situation right now. Oh, he was actually mad on the other devotee who's troubling him so much right now. That's why he spilled over to me. Like that, we need to see the circumstance. Similarly, in the case of Daksha, he only considered, oh, he's my son-in-law, so he should respect me, offer obeisances. But he not consider all the other aspects we heard in the previous chapters. He's the greatest chief of the demigods, is the greatest Vaishnava, uh, all the great qualities he has, he could not consider at all. So that is the other aspect. So we need to understand the background of the events. And then acceptance. That means when differences come, when people are, when we should understand every Vaishnava has a individuality and individual character, individual tendencies, individual preferences, individual ways of approaching things. When we understand that, and also appreciate the diversity that comes in doing teamwork, service together, then we'll naturally expect that everybody will not do exactly like me. Everybody will not think exactly like me. Then we don't have unrealistic expectations of the others. So that's the other aspect we can consider. Then we can be more accepting and more tolerating also. Fourth aspect is the importance. Naturally, in the Kali Yuga, just because we are in Kali Yuga, so many things happen that are we know Kali Yuga is known for quarrel. So we can understand for every small thing, something can happen. Somebody made mistake something and still take it in wrong way. Then we should not react to a small thing and make it the biggest thing like that. We should understand, uh, we should keep what a small thing small, big thing big. That means one small thing, we should not blow it out of proportion like that. That's the other point about seeing big picture and seeing the importance of relationship, importance of service, importance of growing in bhakti. When we have these values clear, then just because of a small mistake, I don't trouble my mind, I don't trouble them. So that is the other, seeing the importance of big picture. That is the important point. Because sometimes it's not important to win in an argument. It's not important to win, be right always. It may be more important to have good relationship with the devotee. So that is good for him, good for him, good for me. When we see that big picture, when we have our goal clear of growing in devotion service together, then we take some small things light also. And the last aspect is the transcendence. So, so the real victory is not to see good or bad. The real victory is going beyond the good and bad. You probably remember from the 11th canto, okay, yeah. There is a section in 11th canto, Uddhav Gita, where Krishna makes this point also, that Uddhava, go beyond the good and bad. Even finding the good is also bad. Even finding the bad is also bad, like that he says. Go beyond them into transcendence, he says. So that's what is being discussed here. So our focus is on growing in bhakti, progressing in bhakti, not winning in one particular argument, winning in a service, or getting best points in one service compared to others like that, not competing. So that was the first section we covered in fourth canto. Going to the next section is about Dhruv Maharaj pastime, where one of the key lessons of Dhruv Maharaj pastime we learned is about determination. How Dhruv Maharaj succeeded because of the determination. So obviously it's a big pastime. We discussed this over several chapters, but the essence is put by Swami Bhagavan Keshav Maharaj like this. Basically, in order to be determined, we need to be have the philosophical understanding, because by the right knowledge, we can cut through all the doubts. When doubts are cut, when we are confident, then we'll move forward with determination, progress quickly in spiritual life. So, and when we are fixed up in knowledge based on Shastra and Sadhu, then also when the body and mind do not want to cooperate, our intelligence can help, because of sharpened intelligence, it can help keep the body and mind going like that. That is a philosophical level of help we can take to have determination. Second is association with people. So basically, when we have the right association who will encourage us, who will support us, who will give good advice to us in our journey to us in the spirituality, then we can stay determined easily. Because when we see example of somebody sincerely following bhakti, then we also want to follow like that. So that's a good association aspect. The third aspect is practice. When we sincerely practice bhakti nicely, then we'll get some glimpse of reciprocation from Krishna here, some glimpse of reciprocation from Krishna here, some glimpse of reciprocation from Krishna here. Then we catch them. Then we catch that inspiration, and that way we can stay motivated in bhakti. See, I did very little, but Krishna reciprocated so much. Wow, that means bhakti process is working. Let me do more bhakti like that. So that's the practice aspect. By practice, we're getting taste. we're getting inspiration with the expression of reciprocation to move forward with more determination like that. Now the bottom picture is showing how when we are in different modes, how we'll act. For example, if I'm more influenced by mode of ignorance most of the time, then I will exhibit extreme patience. In other words, laziness, but not enthusiastic to start anything, do anything, continue anything. Whereas if I show a lot of enthusiasm but not much patience, then I will do one day I will read for 4 hours, and next 1 week I don't read anything. Or one day I'll hear for 8 hours straight, but then next 1 month I don't hear anything. That is how this will be, mode of passion will be unsteady and erratic. Whereas mode of goodness space, where will be patient and enthusiastic simultaneously. In fact, it appears they both appear to be contradictory, but they can be had together in a devotee life. Actually, my His Holiness Rompasa Maharaj describes how our acharyas are simultaneously humble and also enthusiastic at the same time. So that's I'm remembering that in this context. So it's possible. Similarly, when we are in mode of goodness, we can be enthusiastic and patient at the same time. How do we get the patience when you're enthusiastic? How do you get both of them together? When we develop the confidence in Krishna, when we develop the confidence in Bhakti, that this will work, then we can be patient also and enthusiastic also. Other aspect is when we are seeing that I'm growing in Bhakti, I'm measuring myself. Somebody doesn't need to tell. I'm measuring myself that I improved in Bhakti. Wow, this process works. Then I will get patience also. Then by just being on the path, I can grow in Bhakti. So that also leads towards determination and practice of Bhakti for us. So in other words, our we cannot be determined like Dhruv Maharaj, many of us at least, but we can be determined that I will do what I understand, what is in my capacity, based on the guidance that I received from my Guru. I'll practice Bhakti nicely, sincerely, and seriously to my best capacity. That much we can do. And the determination that I want to make this a last life, which is possible. Don't think it's not possible. Of course, ultimately it's in Krishna's hands. But we try our best from our perspective. That's the second section. Of course, this is a little bit too early, but I wanted just to give this anyway from Swami Bhagavan Kashyap Maharaj book Bhagavata. The reference is there at the end, the last slide also, so you'll see it. So basically, this is the section we are in. We are only in chapter 15 now, where Prithu is just going to appear now, just becoming king now in this chapter. But this I will not go into detail of this one. Basically, this chart is showing that Prithu Maharaj is glorified with wonderful qualities and with different metaphors. How is a wonderful leader, ideal leader like that. And he was very selfless, not thinking about himself only, thinking about how to take care of his citizens like that. And then he's spiritual. That means he's not only thinking about citizens' material well-being, but he's also thinking about spiritual well-being of the citizens. And then he's a strong leader in the sense that he's ready to make bold decisions and take action as needed like that. We'll see in the coming chapters. So, and also he's sensitive at the same time. And the bottom of this picture showing how Prithu Maharaj is compared to different metaphors describing his wonderful qualities, which you'll see in the next week class. Yeah. So that's just a quick summary. Now going into the 15th chapter. Before we go to 15th chapter, just before this, 14th chapter, what happened? What happened was, this fourth canto is description from Dhruva's dynasty. Dhruva's descendants are being described now. So within the Dhruva's, we heard about King Anga, who was a wonderful king. Unfortunately, because he had a wife by name Suniti, I think, who was a daughter of death personified. So the son he got was King Vena, who was very sinful. and he was not ruling citizens properly at all. So, uh, so we heard about King Vena, how he did not respect Brahminical culture, rather he destroyed Brahminical culture. He created trouble for Brahmanas and sages. All that we heard in the last chapter. Then finally, Brahmanas decided that, oh my God, we need to kill him like that. They decided to kill him with mantras. And then finally, from King Vena's body, when King Vena was killed, even though then when there's no king, again thieves started becoming big, and all citizens are suffering again because of thieves doing all nonsense things like that. Then Brahmanas again considered, we should have a king. What should we do? We want to preserve the semen, the great value coming from the semen of King Anga. So let us churn the King Vena's body. So they churned the thighs of King Anga, so King Vena dead body, because King Vena's dead body was preserved by his mom by chanting mantras and by keeping it safe like that. So they churned the thighs. Brahmanas had that power at that time. They churned the thighs of the dead body of King Vena, and they developed a personality called Nishada. I think his name comes up in the next section also, Bahalika or something like that also. But basically, all the sinful reactions in this body of King Vena, they took it out as one personality. That was the end of the last chapter. Now, coming to this chapter, 15th chapter. Let's go there. Okay, yeah. So these are three broad sections. It's very simple chapter. Three broad sections. First, how Prithu Maharaj and Archie appeared first. That is described in the first 10 verses. Then the next section describes coronation of Prithu Maharaj. And then the last section, coronation means becoming king. Third section is Prithu Maharaj humbly dissuades the bards, that means who are glorifying. Oh, Bahuka. Thank you, Vajesh Madai. Bahuka is the personality that came out of King Vena's body, where sages took out the sinful reactions in terms of that Bahuka as a person. So he was born first, that way sinful reactions are gone from King Vena's body. So all the sages, Brahmanas, and different bards, they all glorify Prithu. Then he humbly doesn't want the praise from them. That is the three broad sections, okay? So we'll go through this. So now, in the first section, how, like we discussed, Bahuka, like Vrajeshwari Mata indicated, after all the sinful reactions are taken out of the King Vena's body in the form of Bahuka who was born, then the sages churn the arms now. Earlier they churned the thighs. Now they're churning the arms of the King Vena's dead body. And from them, one male and female personality come. They are called Prithu Maharaj, Prithu, and Archie. And apparently they are not ordinary living entities. They're actually Shaktavashar avatars. That means Prithu Maharaj was a Shaktavashar avatara of Lord Vishnu himself. And then Archie was Shaktavashar avatara of Lakshmi Devi, goddess of fortune, like that. What does Shaktavashar avatara means? Shaktavashar avatara means that they are not Vishnu Tattva. They are incarnation of Supreme Lord, but they are not Vishnu Tattva. They are a Jiva Tattva, but invested with one particular potency of the Supreme Lord, like that. So Prithu Maharaj was invested with a Palana Shakti, or the ruling potency of the Supreme Lord fully. Like we hear Nardamani is invested with Bhakti potency. He can give Bhakti to anybody. So many people we see he is giving Bhakti left and right like that. So like that, different personalities are invested with different potencies. Similarly, Prithu Maharaj was a Shaktavesha avatar with invested with ruling potency. He could rule properly, basically, all the citizens. So that's what is described. And in this section, some of the key lessons Prabhupada highlights are we should, he talks about these 2 points we'll talk about. How Mother Lakshmi should not be worshipped alone, but along with Lord Vishnu, her consort. That is one point he makes. Prabhupada loves this, by the way, this principle. Many places in Srimad Bhagavatam, so many purports, Prabhupada makes this comment that people just want money, so they want to worship Lakshmi Devi only, Lakshmi Devi only. But Lakshmi Devi is Chanchala. She will not stay at one place. But she always wants to stay in the service of the Supreme Lord. So if you worship Supreme Lord, then when Supreme Lord is here, Lakshmi Devi also is with him. So that way you'll get Lakshmi always. Like that Prabhupada makes the point. But otherwise, if you're doing like Ravana, where you want to enjoy Mother Sita away from Supreme Lord Rama for himself, then he gets destroyed. Like that he describes. And then another point Prabhupada describes is, in this purports, is that if somebody has got the mercy of Lakshmi Devi right now, and he got the good fortune, by good fortune he became rich, he has a lot of wealth now, a lot of opulence now, then to keep his opulence, the best thing you should do is to engage that opulence, engage that wealth in service of Supreme Lord. That's the important point. Sometimes devotees express this doubt. Oh my God, if we worship Krishna, will I lose all my money? Will he make me poor? Like that. Of course, this itself is a big topic. But the point, simple point Prabhupada is making in this section is that whatever resources we have, if you utilize them nicely, without wasting them, but utilize them in service of Krishna, then we can be assured Krishna will give the needed resources for us to continue comfortably in the service of Krishna. That is what is coming out from this section for us. So that is the two main points Prabhupada makes in this section. Let's go to the next point in there. Then, yeah, after Prithu Maharaj, Prithu and Archi were born, Brahmanas were praising them. They glorified King Prithu. And then the Gandharva Loka. Gandharvas are very famous for singing nicely, sweetly. So they chanted his glories. And Siddhaloka inhabitants, they showered flowers, it seems. And then beautiful women in heavenly planets, Svargaloka, they were dancing in ecstasy, it seems. Then, yeah, this is another important point. Lord Brahma personally comes along with other demigods, along with other great personalities. And Lord Brahma inspects Prithu's hand and lotus feet and observes the right symptoms that are there of the Supreme Personality partial incarnation. So he understands that he is a partial representation of the Supreme Lord. That Lord Brahma concludes by seeing these attributes. Again, one important lesson in this section Prabhupada gives us is about how we should not believe anybody and everybody if they say, I'm Vishnu, I'm Kalki, I'm Krishna, I'm Vasudeva. We should not believe directly, but we should base it on Shastra. Of course, Swayam Bhagavan Keshav Maharaj, in the beginning itself, in the first canto, I think, or not first canto, sorry. That's in Chaitanya Charitamrita Compact. He has another summary book for Chaitanya Charitamrita, Chaitanya Charitamrita Compact. He gives a simple acronym called SAFE, S-A-F-E. In that acronym, he describes what is the basis for understanding somebody is a Supreme Lord or not, Supreme Lord incarnation or not. S in the SAFE stands for scriptures. That means you should have been described in the scriptures. Many times our scriptures describe this incarnation will appear in so and so place, their father name is so and so, their mother name is so and so, these are the activities you will do, like that. Then A is astrological calculations and attributes of the personality. So when a Supreme Lord incarnates, all the planets will align in such a way that they will create an auspicious atmosphere for Supreme Lord's appearance, number one. Number two, the attributes like the one we talked about, some symbols in the hands and symbols in the lotus feet, they will be there. That is the A portion. S is scriptures, A is attributes and astrological calculations are matching, are supporting that person's incarnation. Third is F. F means following authorities. Authorities like our great acharyas, they know better. They can understand who is the incarnation based on the scriptural authority, based on the symptoms. Like in this particular example, we saw Lord Brahma is an acharya. He observed the attributes and he confirmed that he is a partial representation of Supreme Lord, like that. So that's the F portion, following authorities. Then E is extraordinary activities, not great activities, but extraordinary activities like that. So Supreme Lord, if somebody to be counted as Supreme Lord, he should have done extraordinary activities. Like Krishna lifted Govardhan Giri at the age of 7 years with one little finger, for example. That is extraordinary. Not understanding what is there in somebody's mind, not solving one disease, not uh, making others do what I want to do, not by sitting here, I'll go to Afghanistan and get a pomegranate like we hear in Sri Prabhupada Lilamrita. Those are all material opulences, mystic opulences that a Ashtanga yogi can get. Of course, they're very, very hard to get, but still somebody can get it. But much more extraordinary than this. That is what is a E. S is scriptures, A is attributes and astrological calculations, F is following authorities, E is extraordinary activities. When all of these match, then we can accept somebody as the incarnation of Supreme Lord. Otherwise, we should not just say, oh, you are incarnation of Supreme Lord, you are incarnation of Supreme Lord, and don't go after anybody like that. That's the other important lesson Prabhupada talks about in this section also. And then the next section is how Prithu Maharaj is coronated as a king like that. And then when Prithu Maharaj is coronated as a king, he's in a throne, royal throne, and he is described as appears exactly like fire. Of course, fire has many, many qualities. One of the qualities of fire is that anything comes, fire can consume it. Any impurities come, fire can consume it. Of course, this is described in 11th canto also like that. So our fire also is a symptom of being bright like that, light. So then many different personalities come, demigods, brahmanas, sages, they all come. With what? When they're coming to Supreme Lord, they come with appropriate gifts according to their capacity. That's another important lesson we can learn. When going to Supreme Lord, we take a gift according to our capacity. In fact, in Dharma, the Transcendence book, which is the compilation of lectures of Srila Prabhupada from first canto, second chapter, Prabhupada makes a point that this Indian culture has an element that when we go to temple, we take something to Supreme Lord. Actually, Prabhupada writes in that section, that's a way of giving gift to Supreme Lord. That's a way of engaging in loving exchange with Supreme Lord. We know from Nectar of Instruction, text 4 also, Dadati Pratignati. So giving gifts, receiving gifts. Of course, in the context of Nectar of Instruction, that is among the Vaishnavas. But Prabhupada in this Dharma book, he says, by taking gifts to the temple for the Supreme Lord, we're engaging in loving exchange with Supreme Lord. That's how we'll get purified. Like that, Prabhupada writes. So like this, all of them bring appropriate gifts according to their capacity. There are so many descriptions of different gifts. I'll read a couple of them so that way you have some idea only. Basically, Kuvera gives a golden throne, it seems, and an umbrella. Varuna gives an umbrella that sprinkles fine particles of water, and it was brilliant as moon, it seems. And Vayu gives two chamaras fans. Dharma gives a flower garland. Indra gives a helmet. Yamaraja gives a scepter with which to rule the world like a stick in Sims. And then Brahma gives a productive garment made of spiritual knowledge. Saraswati gives a transcendental necklace. And then Lord Vishnu gives a Sudarshan Chakra. This is not the same Sudarshan Chakra he has, but a partial representation of Sudarshan Chakra. That means some reduced potency in one sense. And then Lord Shiva gives a sword with a sheath marked with 10 moons. Goddess Durga gives a shield with 100 moons. Vishwakarma gives a beautiful chariot. Moon gives a horses made of nectar. Agni gives a bow made of horns of goats and cows. Sun god gives a arrows as brilliant as sunshine. Like that, so many different personalities give different gifts. So principle we need to learn is we should also learn to give gifts to Supreme Lord and learn to receive gifts from Supreme Lord in terms of association of devotees he offers us, in terms of guidance in scriptures he's giving us, in terms of the holy name he's coming as to help us like that. And similarly, when we engage in loving exchanges with devotees, we should be prepared to offer gifts and receive gifts also. And when we are exchanging, when we want to benefit others, other common people, we should be willing to give gifts to them. One of the best gift, nectar of instruction, text number 4, Prabhupada writes is gift of holy name. So we can participate in Harinam Sankirtan. That's how we can give gift to others like that, holy name. Or we can tell somebody about the chanting of the holy name. We can give a book on chanting. Even we can give a Prabhupada book, because every book of Prabhupada ultimately talks about Sankirtan Yajna. So they'll get some benefit for sure. Then after that, next section talks about how different personalities, especially the professional bards. Bards means their duty is to praise the king like that. So they're offered job to praise the king, like glorify the king like that. So they offer different praises to him about how you manifested this quality, you manifested that quality like that. But in reality, Prithu Maharaj just took up the kingdom. So he didn't manifest any qualities yet. They're coming in future. So this is how Prithu Maharaj shows his humility now. He says, don't offer this praise to me because I am not manifesting these qualities right now. So it's not proper. When I manifest my qualities later on, then you praise me, you appreciate me, you glorify me like that. And then he say, and this one of the key points Prabhupada makes in 2-3 purports in this section is that we should not accept anybody and everybody as incarnation of Supreme Lord. Unless they manifest godly qualities, we cannot accept like that. This coming to in the safe formula, this coming to A, yeah, godly qualities. Then praise should not be offered to unfit person who pretends to be an incarnation of Supreme Personality Godhead. In that purport, Prabhupada says, generally impersonalists and non-devotees, they have this tendency, demonic tendency to glorify somebody. Oh, you are incarnation of Supreme Lord. You are avatar of Bhagwan. Like that. That's not a good thing Prabhupada is emphasizing here in this section. So we should not offer such praise to them. Then let us say somebody tries to glorify us, saying that, oh, you are a most pure devotee, you are actually Supreme Lord's representative in a purest sense, like that. When they're saying, you should be careful to not accept such things and clearly tell them that I am not there. I am still practicing devotee like that. Similarly, of course, some people cheat people like that. When followers are saying, oh, he's encouraging Supreme Lord, okay, go ahead, tell more, like that. So that's what Prabhupada is discouraging here in this section. So then, person who is very famous and powerful does not like to hear himself praised. This is a sign of humility. So whenever somebody, first of all, when we don't do anything great, we should not let others praise us, number one. Even if we do something great according to others, we should understand that great we are able to do because of somebody only. Because all of us learned everything from our parents, everything in devotion service from other devotees only. So, or even scriptures that are written by other devotees only, our classes that are told by other devotees only. So when we see like that, whatever we learned from our teachers, parents, elders, friends, or devotees, acharyas, like that, then we never think, oh, I am the greatest person. We'll give the credit back to them transparently. Okay, because of them only I learned this. Otherwise, I didn't know what is bhakti. I did not even know the word bhakti. Forget about knowing all these things like that. That we need to keep it clearly in our heart. Then we don't take the praise even literally into their heart also. That is another aspect to consider. So that's the other key lesson we can learn from here. So we'll talk a little bit more about the humility in terms of this is again another class from Swami Bhagavan Keshav Swami Maharaj. It's a wonderful class where he's describing importance of humility and 4 definitions of humility. So we'll briefly talk about the importance of humility and cultivation of humility. We'll go to that. So importance of humility, many of you might be knowing the famous verse from Sikshashtakam verse 3. Trinadapi Sunichena Tarorapi Sahishnuna amanina manadena kirtaniya sadahrihi. In fact, Lord Chaitanya describes, Krishna's Kaviraj Goswami describes in Chaitanya Charitamrita that this verse should be strung as a thread as a necklace in the neck, like that. What does this describe? Four things this verse is describing: humbler than a blade of grass, tolerant than a tree, tolerant like a tree, and then offer all respects to others. Don't expect any respect from others. These are very important qualities for a Vaishnava. And by tying it as a necklace in our neck, what happens? Swayam Bhagavan Keshav Maharaj describes nicely. One is that it reminds everybody, it makes us accountable that Trinadapi Sunichan, I am following, I am demonstrating that qualities are not. Second, by having a necklace in the neck, it touches the heart. So those qualities are supposed to manifest in our heart, like that. So another aspect to remember is Krishna personally says in several places in Bhagavatam that a devotee with these qualities are dear to me. Devotees with these qualities are dear to me, like that. So when we develop these qualities like humility, which is the foundation for many good qualities, then Krishna is very pleased. So similarly, we see from Lord Chaitanya's pastimes, when he saw Lord Chaitanya saw Rupa Goswami, Sanatana Goswami's humility, he said, "Oh my God, Rupa and Sanatana, your humility is breaking my heart," like that he said. That means he's positively glorifying them, that they are so much wonderful in terms of humility. He's appreciating their humility, like that. So what are we doing in terms of bhakti? We're trying to please the Lord. So we learned from Krishna, we learned from Lord Chaitanya that Krishna is pleased when we have good qualities. And we learned from Bhagavad Gita 13th chapter that humility is the first quality of knowledge also, process of knowledge. So when we understand this, we value humility and we want to cultivate humility. That is the why we need to cultivate humility. Then we can discuss about what is humility and how to cultivate humility next. So what is humility? Swami Bhagavan Keshav Maharaj talks about four definitions, two from Srila Prabhupada, two from his spiritual master, Srila Prabhupada's spiritual master, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. So first definition he gives is from Bhagavad Gita 13th chapter, the verses 8 to 13, I believe. The first quality, amanitvam, adambitvam, like that verse is there, right? Amanitvam. That Prabhupada describes in the purport, interestingly, to not be anxious to have the satisfaction of being honored by others. So that means we should not be looking for satisfaction of being honored by others. That means we should not be looking at praise, appreciation, acknowledgement, adoration from others. How everybody should appreciate me, everybody should follow me. Like that, we should not have that hankering. So in fact, if you want honor, honor will run away. So Swami Bhagavan Keshav Maharaj has a nice way of describing this. He says, stuti, actually this praise, stuti has one meaning is praise. Praising somebody is called stuti. Another meaning he says is young unmarried girl, it seems. So when somebody is trying to get attraction of unmarried girl, the way he describes it, and they're the only two people there, then he really wants unmarried girl to marry him. Then actually unmarried girl goes the other way around. She neglects him, it seems. So similarly, when somebody wants stuti, unmarried girl is stuti, and praise also in this analogy. Somebody wants praise, praise will go away also. Like that he describes nicely. So this is important principle to note, that we should not hanker for being satisfied with honor and respect and adoration from others, like that. And then definition from Srila Prabhupada, in answering a question from Harivilas Prabhu, he describes, it seems, that humility means that we have the firm conviction that anything is this material world will not save me. High education, lot of money, lot of power, lot of position, best family members, the gun that I can keep, any material shelters we have, they will not save me except for mercy of Krishna. When we have this dependence on Krishna, when we have this full dependence on Krishna, then and firm conviction on Krishna's mercy only can save me, nothing else. That is the other definition of humility Prabhupada gave us. So this will develop as we read Shastra, as we hear Bhagavatam like this will develop for us. And as we chant also, it will develop nicely. And we know from Trinadapi Sunichena verse also that by developing these qualities, we can actually chant constantly. There is a secret of that also. So the another two definitions of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, this is describing how humility means. This from Amritavani. There's a book called Amritavani that summarizes by category different definitions. Humility means complete absence of enjoying spirit. If enjoying spirit is not there, what is there? Service mood of service is there. So that is what is humility. If somebody has humility, they have wonderful mood of service. So that means they understand that I am not the enjoyer. Krishna is the enjoyer. And they exhibit that mode of service all the times. Mode of service to whom? Mode of service to Krishna, mode of service to devotees, mode of service towards other living entities, like that. Then the other definition is, humility means to develop taste for chanting holy name of Krishna and develop mood of service to the holy name. That means when we develop the taste for chanting of the holy name, that's the real humility. Because we are hankering for association of Krishna. And we are also developing mood of service to holy name. Mood of service to holy name does not mean only chanting only. Actually, holy name is not different than Krishna, we know from our acharyas. So everything we do in our life, we should do as a service to the holy name only. Then that is the mode of service. When we develop that mode of service to the holy name, and we develop the taste for the holy name, that's called humility. In other ways it's described, humility is also described in other ways, is, by the way, I wanted to contrast something, that humility is not inferiority complex as some devotees, practicing devotees think. Humility is situating ourselves in the real constitutional position that I am soul, I am insignificant soul, but I am a part and parcel of Supreme Lord. That means in one sense, I have very limited abilities, capacity and power. But in another sense, I am part and parcel of Krishna. So if I look towards Krishna, Krishna can help me for unlimited things for me. So that way, we are situated properly in dependent mood in service of Krishna. That is a way of situating in humility. So I will just show some references for this session, and then I will pause for comments or questions. So basically, Prabhupada Srimad Bhagavatam, my Guru Maharaj and mentor, Rompasa Maharaj and Premchand Mataji, and then Gauranga Darshan Prabhu's Bhagavad Pravaha series classes, and also Swami Bhagavan Keshav Swami Maharaj book Bhagavata, and also Chaitanya Charitamrita compact. I explained one principle, but there is only one principle here. So those are few thoughts. Any comments or questions you have?
Hari bol, what a class, Prabhu. Yeah, I wish that these classes of yours never end and they just keep going on and on. We can churn out so much from your classes, Prabhu. Big fan. I really liked a few things I'm just repeating. When you were telling that communication is actually the key. It is so important in relationships that we communicate properly, and mostly, even if something messes up, like you said, the person who's communicating should take the responsibility if something has been misunderstood or misinterpreted, because it is so important for us to stress on the fact of how we communicate to people around us. And oftentimes we all mess up. I mess up a lot. But then we can see what kind of major repercussions will happen when that communication is not clear. And then I like the acronym for SAFE. I mean, it's actually like an abbreviation of SAFE. It was very nice. And that's a nice way to remember. Oftentimes I say the three things, that is scripture. Then I tell the special marks or the astrological features or whatever we say for that. And then I tell extraordinary powers, but I don't, most of the time I forget the F, meaning I've never, this is the first time I'm learning from your class that I have to also include the F, which is, I believe, checking with authorities, right? Is that what you said?
Correct. Following other teachers, Mataji.
Following. Yeah, thanks for adding that, because all these days my understanding was SAE and I didn't know the F. So thank you for adding that. And I like the way you explained what humility really means. That was also very beautiful. And yes, the 3 stories of Dhruva and Daksha, and of course Pritha Maharaj in different modes. And one thing you said, which was oftentimes we all make a mistake, is we say bhakti in 3 modes, but it's actually not bhakti in 3 modes, rather it is the practitioners of bhakti in 3 modes. Yeah, but fantastic class, Prabhu. So much to learn, and I'm so grateful for your association. Thank you so much.
Thank you for sharing, Mataji. Yeah, that was a communication point was shared by Rajabihar Prabhu in his conflict resolution seminar. Yeah.
And I also think of this oftentimes, like we communicate, we think that we're communicating properly, but the other person has a certain filter when they are listening, because their filter is based on their experiences, their expectations, and the things around them. They filter what we say, right?
Correct.
So then we can't control that filter because that is their conditioning.
Exactly.
So, like once my Guru Maharaj was saying, like he gives the same lecture, but then every disciple or anyone who's hearing it perceives the same a message in a different way based on their circumstances, what they want to absorb from that. That's so true. But again, at the same time, it is very important for us to ensure that our communication is correct. So I like that. Yeah.
Yes, Mataji. Yeah, that's why we seek for feedback or reflection, and then we can correct it. We take an opportunity to correct again, like that. Yeah. What we shared. Yeah. Thank you, Mataji, for sharing.
Yeah, thank you so much, Prabhu. Thank you.
Hare Krishna, Sundaranand Prabhu, Dandat Pranamal, glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you, Prabhuji, for a detailed recap where we are today, and coming on to this chapter and explaining us from the beginning how you are explaining how Daksha was doing the offenses to the Vaishnava. It's very, very important for us not to do offenses, and also you are highlight so many points already. Prithvi Lasti Mataji said, I just don't want to repeat those. But then other one is like when you go to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, you go with a gift to the Lord. And also we are not the person who go dictate to the Lord, give me this, give me that. Just half an hour back, Charu Mataji was giving kids also a class, and she was also repeating the same thing. Like you go to the pizza store and say, I want a pizza and I want this, I want that. We are not the person who are dictating. She was explaining Sikshashtakam and she was repeating the same thing. We are the person who needs to be patient and wait for Krishna's mercy. We keep serving him. We cannot say that, oh, he's not giving me anything. After all, I'm doing everything and just I leave him and go and find another. He's not like that. You need to be patient. You need to be serving him. Then Krishna will see our, love and affection towards him. Then he reciprocates to us. So it's a long time. You need to have patience and be in association of devotees always. So that will make us to be going on. Otherwise, it's very difficult. You feel like so much frustrated. Why everything is going wrong still after doing everything nice. So but then when we be staying in the association of devotee, we'll understand that that's a devotee. Like we should never expect anything from Krishna, and we should always surrender to Krishna. Thank you, Prabhuji. So much nice lot of lessons that we learned from your class, how it is very important to always check with Shastra whatever we are doing. Otherwise we'll go wrong. We cannot think that, oh, let me do this, let me do that. Just check with the Guru and Sadhu, Shastra. It is very, very important. Thank you so much, Prabhuji, for such a beautiful, beautiful class. And all the recap. I really like the recap that you give all the time. You give recap whenever you come. It really helps us to understand. I also know in a small way, if someone asked me, okay, what did you learn from 4th Canto, so and so chapters? Okay, in one line, I can just say them. Okay, this is what I learned. That I get it from your class. How can I say in one line what I learned from this chapter to this chapter? I get it through from your class, Prabhuji. Thank you so much. Very grateful to you. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji. Thank you for sharing your relations also, Mataji. Nice. Any other comments or questions?
Yeah, any more realizations?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna, Prabhuji. And thank you very much for your all kind support. And thank you very much for the class. Prabhuji, I have a, we have while reading the Bhagavatam or maybe any pictures, we lack in chanting. So how to improve our chanting, Prabhuji?
How to improve chanting? Wonderful, Mate. It's a important question for all of us devotees. Definitely. And there are many ways to answer that question. And our acharyas have lots of explanations for that also. I had a couple of slides I was talking about in Canto 12 when I was giving summary. I'll bring it up so that way you might appreciate this, even though it will take 3 minutes or so. I'll bring up the slides so you'll see it. So the same thing can be answered in different ways. Let me see Canto 12. Okay, this one I think. I'll share the screen maybe. That's, I don't know which, yeah, this one. You can see this one, okay?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Okay, perfect. This is the one from Sachinanda Swami Maharaj. Let me see, how do you make this fellow? I don't know how to make this a view. Full screen mode, okay, good. Yeah, I can still see, okay?
Yes, now we can see in full screen.
Oh, perfect, okay. So basically, Sachinanda Swami Maharaj, in one of the retreat he did, Holy Name Experience or Navamrita retreat, he calls it, in Vrindavan. It summarizes so simply. That's why I like this one. Basically, first is we need to study the Shastra in two aspects. Understand the Tattva or the philosophy, how holy name is Krishna himself, what is the value of the holy name, like that. And then Rasa also. That means Radha and Krishna's highly attractive pastimes. Of course, there's a right speaker we hear from, and there's a right sequence when we hear from, that's all there. But when we hear Krishna's attractive pastimes, that will move our heart towards him like that. That creates a longing for the relationship like that. That's also important. Not just understanding we need to do it, but we want to get to space, I want to do it like that. That's the Shastra. And then Sadhu Sanga, by associating with devotees who have the taste for the holy name, who have the deeper taste for the holy name, then we can easily get it. Like we were talking also, sincere devotees when they're practicing, then we can learn from it. We also want to do like that. And that is the association of such personalities is the birthplace for our bhakti and taste also. And then seva, by serving the holy name and sharing the holy name with others, that will attract the mercy of Lord Chaitanya, Lord Nityananda, who will bless us with deep taste for the holy name like that. And then sadhana. So how to do sadhana is another slide next. I'll show you next slide. Basically, these are Shastra, Sadhu Sanga, Seva, Sadhana. So these are the 7 P's of the holy name practice. Basically, try to make a fixed day and time for chanting every day. And that way, we can be regulated in our sadhana. That time is, and try to protect that time for the holy name like that. And then try to create a sacred space. There's a place where you can chant. That means no phone, no computer, ideally, or you decide that you don't interact with them like that. Then posture. The more we straight, body straight when you're chanting, you can sit in the sofa, you can sit in the chair, you can sit in the floor, it doesn't matter. But the posture should be straight, because the posture straight helps us not to sleep, not to be distracted in mind like that. And then pronunciation. Pronounce the holy name clearly, all the syllables. Watch out for that. When we're trying to see, am I pronouncing clearly? Then actually mind also pays attention to hearing. Then also will become more attentive also. And then the presence. That means catch the sound vibration with ears and heart, that I'm hearing the holy name. Holy name is entering my ears and is going to the heart chambers like that. Then it will do the miracle of cleaning. And then pointed attention. That means controlling the mind by purposely focusing on the holy name. And at our stage, Our mind will go to office, this work, that work I need to do later on, like that. But still, when we catch it, we need to bring it back. For example, I might go into 5 minutes thinking about something, but at least when I realize after 5 minutes, I need to bring it back instead of going to 6th, 7th, 8th minute, like that. Slowly, when I'm catching like that, it will become 4 minutes, 3 minutes, I'll go. I'll recognize after 1 minute, I'll recognize 60 seconds, like that, 30 seconds, like that. So that's a bringing the mind back. And then engage in the heart. So if you notice all these things, there's a body portion, there's a mind portion, there's a heart portion. So engage in the heart in a prayerful mode. Like actually, I played a video of his known as Radha Samar also. You can search for it on chanting from heart. I really love this video so much. It's one of my favorite videos. Essentially, what Maharaj is describing in that video is we need to chant for Krishna Prema. I should not chant so that I can finish my 16 rounds. That's the one aspect. That means we're chanting with spiritual desire and spiritual aspiration. And then we're chanting for removing any obstacles that are coming in reaching that spiritual aspiration also. That means if I'm not able to chant my rounds, then I then I chant with the prayer that I want to chant my rounds nicely. Please help me, like that. Or if I'm chanting, if I'm doing all Vaishnava Aparadh, then I will chant to please give me strength not to do Vaishnava Aparadh. I want to progress towards Krishna Prema. I want really Krishna Prema, like that. With the spiritual aspiration, when you chant, then we'll progress also. Otherwise, if I'm chanting, my office work, I should do it in 1 day and my boss should be happy, then that only will come with chanting, not Krishna Prema. Or when I'm chanting, oh, this guy really scolded me. Next time I meet him, I'll scold him. Then that only I'll get opportunity to scold him next time. So when chanting, we should chant with spiritual desires. So like that, many things can be said, Mati. But other important thing is regularly hear or read about chanting of the holy name every day. Maybe 5 minutes, that's great. That also helps us a lot, Mati. Hopefully that makes sense and helps, Mati. Any other comments?
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Okay. So if no other comments, we can end here then.
Yeah, yes, Prabhuji, thank you so much. Haribol, 1 minute. Let me offer my obeisances to you and all the Vaishnavas assembled on the call. Haribol, okka nimisham. Vancha kalpataro bhyasya kripa sindhu bhyavacha patitanam pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo namo namah. Ananta koti Vaishnav vrinda ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Sundaranand Prabhuji ki jai. Haribol, thank you, dear devotees, for joining and giving your association. We'll close the call for today. We'll meet again next.